All right, people of the grid, this is the day, the 3-year Light Runner owner review. I've had the car for 3 years. I'm gonna give you everything, the options that we got, the money that we've saved, the trips that we've done, our impressions of the car after 3 years. I'm gonna break it all down for you. The car is charging right now. I've got some work I've got to get done, so I'm just gonna pop into the mall here, get that done, then I'll have the review for you. All right, guys, made it back to the hotel here. I haven't checked in yet. I'm gonna go do that right now, but first, let's talk Tesla. This car is a 2015 Tesla Model S 85D. What does all that mean? Well, it's a Tesla. It's the original nose cone design, 85 kilowatt battery, D dual motor. First thing I want to cover, and I'll kind of do 3 sections. Talk about range stuff, comfort stuff, and then by the numbers. In range stuff, I'll just cover off things that have to do with range and charging and distance. In comfort stuff, I'll kind of go through some of our favorite options that we picked for the car, why we picked them, how we feel about them. By the numbers, that's where I'll kind of get into the details of, you know, how much did it cost us to drive as far as we drove. It's almost at 134,000 kilometers. In fact, I'm here on a business trip. By the time I'm done tomorrow and back home, I'll be well over 134,000 kilometers charging stuff. So when we bought the car, we went with the largest battery that we could afford, and it was also the largest battery available at that time. It was the 85 kilowatt battery, and I chose that to get more range out of the battery. We live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We get a ton of snow, severely cold winters. I needed a car that had maximum range, so we bought the biggest battery that we could afford. And then we went with a double motor, because the double motor at the time when we did the research, it turns out it's a little bit more efficient having the 2 motors instead of just one, so you can eke out a little more range. On the Model S, we had a choice of a 19-inch wheel or a 21-inch wheel. I updated the rims, so I got one level up from stock because I liked the way they looked. The 19-inch wheels give you more range. So again, while I love the look of the bigger rims and the bigger wheels, I wanted to go for more range, and it's worked out really well. So 19-inch rims, 19-inch wheels for more range. On the charging side with the car, we ended up going with, they had a single charger option or dual chargers. The single charging option would allow us to charge the car at 40 amps. Dual charging allows us to take in 80 amps into the car and charge at a much faster rate. Now the newer Teslas, I think they've backed it down to 72 amps as the max, but our reasoning with getting the twin chargers was so that if we're charging off of AC, which means any third-party non-Tesla charging, or at home or at somebody else's house, you can slam 80 amps into the car, it charges faster. So I just wanted to have better options, right? If I'm tight on time, or if we're doing a long road trip and I'm using a third-party charger, I didn't want us waiting any longer than we needed to, so I decided to spend the money on the dual chargers, and it's been worthwhile. For the most part, we've been using Tesla Superchargers, which is another option that we chose. When we configured the car, access to the supercharger network was an option, and we picked yes. And the reason we picked yes was we knew we would do road trips, we knew we would be traveling far distances, and the best way to do that, with by hands down, even still 3 years later, is via the Tesla Supercharger network. Charges the fastest, gets you going the fastest. So we paid for that, and that's been really good. That has actually paid off. Just in the cost savings of the gasoline we would have spent alone, it's been really, really good. Okay, so that's it for range stuff. Let's get into comfort stuff. Stuff that we went with inside the vehicle that we felt would be important to us, and how we kind of how we've seen it work out for us. So in no particular order, we went with some key options. The key options that we went with that I would definitely go with again. Number one, like I said, no particular order. Number one, air suspension. This Model S, when we ordered it, you could get the coil spring suspension, or you can get this air suspension. Air suspension allows you to change the ride height of the car at low speeds. Suspension only works up to 30 kilometers per hour. If you're going faster than that, the car's just going to lower to its normal ride height. But if you are going slow, like we do in our neighborhoods and residential or in parking lots, and you know that transition into parking lots is brutal in some places, I wanted to have the ability to raise the car. The cool thing about the way Tesla does it is it geotags. So whenever I say raise the suspension here to high, it remembers that. So whenever I come back to that house, parking lot, whatever, it raises the car. I've loved that feature. It's been really good. I don't know if it's a smoother ride. I think it is, but you know what? I've driven new Teslas that were coil and they felt pretty smooth. They feel a little tight. This does too, but I don't know. It's a nice feature to have. I like the ability to raise the height. The other thing that we got, again, because we live in a colder climate, we get some serious cold in the winter. We went with the Sub-Zero package. I would do that again in a second. We get heated seats in the front and in the back, not in the very back in the jump seats, but we get heated seats here. We also get, and you wouldn't think it's a big deal, but it is when you park your vehicle in the winter and you're getting that light dusting of snow. When you park a warm vehicle in the winter and snow falls on the windshield, it melts and then it freezes, and then your windshield wipers freeze. The Sub-Zero package has a landing zone, a strip of heating coils that are underneath the glass where the windshield wipers sit. It just heats that up, so it melts any ice that might be on the windshield wipers. But having that, it's a really nice thing. I like having it. Third option that we got that, you know, not everybody would get, Tammy and I have 4 amazing little kids. We've got Ethan, and then we have Amelia, Samantha, and Melissa. 1 boy, 3 girls. That's 6 of us. So we needed a vehicle that could transport all 6 of us plus some stuff. This car became our primary family vehicle. It needed to be able to keep up. The rear-facing seats, they're great for kids up to 90 pounds and up to a certain height. So with Samantha and Melissa, our 2 youngest, they can still ride back there probably for another 2 years. The rear-facing seats have been awesome. Love them, love them, love them. Tesla actually builds these cars slightly differently in the back. They're a bolstered rear end, so it's built stronger because there's going to be little kids back there. They wanted to make sure that it was safe, and in all the crash tests I've seen, very, very comfortable with the safety of the back. We got a lot of weird looks. We have a friend who works at 911 in the first response area. There were a lot of calls about people driving kids around in their trunk. That was us. So we didn't get a ticket or anything. They were actually educating people, saying, what kind of car is it? Is it a Tesla? They would say, I think so. So it's okay. 5-point seatbelt harness back there. Awesome. When you don't need those seats, they fold away and disappear completely, and you've got that flat storage space like any other Tesla. The only thing I lose is that footwell where the seats fold into. But down the road, when our kids are too big, I can actually pull out those rear seats and it'll be just like any other Tesla. So I like having that option. With 6 of us, we have this issue of stuff. Where do you put snowboards? You don't want them rubbing on leather. And so that's why we got the roof racks. We got the Thule Monster. Unbelievable. That box carries 6 snowboards, 6 sets of boots, 6 helmets, all up there. When we did our trip to Disneyland, we got the Model S, we named it the Light Runner. We wanted to do a trip to Disneyland. We drove from Calgary there and back. It was over 6,000 kilometers. We had all of our luggage, all of our stuff up there, and we had a nice comfortable ride. So the roof racks and the rear seats, awesome. Carbon fiber trim. So I upgraded to the carbon fiber. I like the way it looks. I've never had a car that had carbon fiber. There's not a lot of it. It's just tastefully done. It looks really, really sharp, and I like it. I love it. I look at it today and I still love it. I would, in fact, if I got another Tesla, I would want to get the carbon fiber trim. I just like the way it looks. So I think that covers comfort stuff. Like I said, no need to talk about the leather or, yeah, I mean, I've ridden in the cloth seats. They're comfortable too. I've ridden in the vegan seats, which are made out of vegans, I guess. They're comfortable too, so. Oh, and one other thing that I forgot to mention, autopilot, auto steer. We didn't buy it because of that. We bought the package knowing it was coming. In fact, we didn't get to see autopilot or auto steer or auto park we received the car in March, and I think around August, September is when it came. April, May, June, July. It was about 4 or 5 months before that functionality was even turned on. It has been worth it. I have loved every minute that we've used autopilot. I have loved every minute we've used auto steer. I even used auto park just the other day. Love all of those features. I think they're a must-have. I think they make long trips easy, fun, and comfortable, and I would definitely get those again. All right, guys, by the numbers. So when I take a look at the car, we've owned it now for 3 years. Not a cheap car to buy, but it is a cheap car to own. Once you've acquired it, once you've paid for it, maintenance on it has been minimal. Keeping it going with electricity, that has been super, super cheap. In fact, that's where we get most of our savings because we're not buying gas the way we used to. And then we're expecting not to have to replace our brakes as often as we would in a regular vehicle. So hopefully getting at least 50% more life out of our brakes, if not 100% more life. Tires, they're going to wear the same way as they do in a regular vehicle. And so far, that's kind of been the case. But I use a couple of spreadsheets to track this. So here's one, that red line. That's where I ran out of juice not too long ago. First time ever in 3 years. It was my fault. It was a dumb move. And then I have another spreadsheet, this one, that I track. And I'll show you what those look like. So those are the two key spreadsheets that I use to track all of my numbers. Tammy's got a spreadsheet for the Model X as well. We track every time we plug in, if it's at home or if it's at a supercharger or if it's at a public charger. We track how many kilowatts we put into the battery. We track how far we go with that, and then we do it all over again. That's where I get all of this tracking information. So here's the real deal. The Tesla Model S cost us about, we had our Dodge Grand Caravan, which was, at the time, it was about 47,000 kilometers, fully decked out the way we got it. We sold that, replaced it with a Tesla that costs almost 2.5 times as much. The Model S, with all of the options, with the extra set of tires, cost us about 134,000 Canadian. Now, that's a lot. That hurt. But with that, we looked at it as we're pre-purchasing our gas. We're pre-purchasing like 6-7 years worth of gas, because that's where by that time it will be cheaper to own this car than to own a reasonably equipped luxury sedan, a Beamer, an Audi, whatever. And it's kind of working out that way. I'm looking at a crossover point of about the 4.5 year mark, probably just under 5 years. After owning this car for 5 years, I think we're going to be ahead of the game. We'll see, because I'll do another one of these in 2 more years. But pretty interesting, because to propel our car, it only costs us still less than 2 cents per kilometer. That's unbelievable. You can't ride a motorbike for that cost, and certainly not transport 7 people in a vehicle with luggage and stuff. So that has been awesome. The other thing that's quite interesting, because we do a lot of road trips in the Model S, and I use it for travel for work, my charging profile, I only charged it in its entire life. 45% of that charge was done at home. So to travel roughly 134,000 kilometers, I've only put electricity in at home. The total cost of that electricity is, there it is, $1,117.56 Canadian. That's like $750 US. It's not bad to travel that distance. For $750 US, that's quite impressive. So that has saved us a ton of money. What I figure is roughly taking that distance traveled, 134,000 kilometers, the average cost of fuel in our previous vehicle, the van, or any other comparable vehicle, roughly, I'm looking at roughly a savings of $20,000 just in fuel alone. That's over the period of 3 years that we've had the Model S. So that lowers that $134,000 hit to $114,000 hit. And then also you'd have to take your gas vehicle and add $20,000 on top of it, because you would have spent that in gas. So as those two, as time goes on, we're going to cross over, and the Tesla will be cheaper than a gas vehicle. My mission is to own it long enough to do that, so that I can get to break even, I can get to return on investment. Even if we don't, though, the car's definitely been worth it. We will get there. So there you have it. That's my 3-year Tesla review. Questions that we get asked a lot are, would we buy another one? Would we do it again? Would I like to upgrade the one I have? Yes, we would buy another one. Yes, we would do it again. And yes, I would like to upgrade the one I have. but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the one I've got. It's running great. We've got the original motors. We've got the original battery. We haven't had any issues. In that whole time, I track the maintenance that we do on it. And the maintenance so far has been cosmetic stuff, and everything else has been under warranty. So cosmetic stuff for hitting a curb when I backed into something, and then everything else has been done under warranty. Oh, and we had to replace the front windshield. That wasn't cheap, but roughly every 3 years, we factor in a windshield replace. Where we live, because they use rocks on the road, it's gonna happen. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. So yeah, cheap to maintain, cheap to own. The only serious issue that we've had mechanically with the car is the passenger front door handle. It wouldn't, it would present, but it wouldn't release. When you pulled it, the micro switch wouldn't trigger. They fixed that under warranty. And then when we took it in for one of the services, which, you know, was under warranty, they found that the front, out of the motor, the rods that come out, there's a seal, and there's some oil inside of that case, the reduction gear case. There was a tiny bit that was coming out. It wasn't quite a leak, but they saw oil on the outside, so they just called for a replacement of those rubber, whatever they are. And that didn't cost us anything. So, very happy with the car. And would I recommend it to you guys? Yes. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed the review. If you have any questions or you want to kind of look inside the spreadsheets, you know, I'm happy to do that for you. Ask the questions in the comments below. If you like the video, hit that like thingy right about there. Where is it? It's right there. And that's it. We'll catch up with you guys later. Miker out.